Hello everyone, and happy Spooktober, my favorite season. Quite a while back I got recommended this channel, Siltrix, to do a video on. It wasn't an ARG like the rest of the series I cover, but rather analog horror, which I also happen to have a love for as well. And quite a while back I had put up a community post that included Siltrix where it placed second to Rapid Eyes. But now the Rapid Eyes video is done, so let's look at the DC analog horror series by Oblivion. Yeah, they changed the channel name now. Not sure why, but oh well. Also, seriously, this is the last content warning. Go away if you're sensitive to gruesome stuff in horror or just photosensitive to bright and flashing lights. There are a lot in this series, and I will not be blurring or warning for them, so I really recommend a different video. Alright? Alright. But, without further ado, grab a snack and some water, and let's get into the horrors of this DC alternate analog universe. The first video in this series is titled The Bat Incident 1959, not canonical, Batman analog horror. The video starts with static, then flashes a date of April 26th, 1959, saying that it's 20 years after the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne. The Elizabeth Arkham Asylum was placed under lockdown after a mysterious figure was spotted near the roof of the building. Here is the recovered footage of the lockdown announcement.
Attention, all staff at this time, just follow all lockdown procedures. There has been a disturbance in the roof of the building. The GCPD Gotham City Police Department and Arkham Security has been called to assess the situation. Follow all procedures for the following patients. Patient number 83357 alias, Waylon Jones Killer Croc. Patient number 97567 alias, Kirk Langstrom the Man-Bat. Patient number 72679 alias, Dr. Pamela Lillian Isley, Poison Ivy. Patient 0, alias, John Doe, the Joker. This alert will keep playing until the situation has been resolved.
For a brief moment during the announcement, an alert shows up to tell security that if they see a man dressed as a bat, to look the other way. It then says how the alert will continue to play until the incident is resolved. Once the announcement is over, we go back to the other style of text that gets a witness testimony about the bat-suited man who had been hiding in a dark corner. Then we get this creepy artist rendition. It then says how the witness claims that the figure was muttering the word justice while walking. His malnourished figure was prevalent as if he had been in isolation for years. After disappearing, screams could be heard from the special containment cells, but that bat wasn't seen. He just vanished. What he left behind, however, haunts those in Gotham to this day. All the patients but Patient 0 were gruesomely murdered and marked with a bat symbol. Jones and Isley had their skin removed, while Jones had his eyes and teeth gone. Isley was bald. Langstrom had his arms taken off and had received blunt force trauma as well as an impalement. The report then turns attention to Patient 0, who, while untouched by the bat, was left mentally scarred. He drew this image to display the bat. This video was very unsettling, but I also want to give context to those who may not be the most understanding of DC Comics or aware of who these characters were. I'll be doing a breakdown and context after every video of references to help you better understand them. It might make something settle a little bit worse. First, the characters mentioned. Killer Croc, a man with hard skin, creepy eyes and sharp teeth, given his name for his scaly and scary appearance. Poison Ivy, famous femme fatale of DC Comics, who often has powers that may hypnotize men to do her bidding through pheromones. As said, she has bright red hair and in some renditions green or very, very pale skin. The fact these two had all their distinct features removed means that the Batman in this universe doesn't want justice for crime specifically, but rather to remove the abnormalities of these monsters. At least, I think. Dr. Langstrom, or Man-Bat, is a Batman character who made a serum to turn his body into a giant bat. His arms are, of course, giant wings, likely why they were removed. Lastly, the Joker. Assuming that he doesn't have the condition of chemically bleached hair and skin, this must be why he was not outright murdered by the Batman, or possibly just to send a message of some sort. But this disregard of the Batman's code did not kill. His lanky body and brutal methods show that this is not a superhero, but a monster himself. What his goal is unknown, but we know he must be a danger. The description even says, "No heroes, only creatures." Next we have Jim Gordon audio log live.mp4 1960 corrupted Batman analog horror. Well, that was a sentence. We get some text stating this is the year after the Batman incident and that there have been more reported sightings. The text then mentions the Blue Boy Scout in Metropolis and the Fast Guy in Central City doing more harm than good. Then there's the remark how it's strange that these murders were the same day as the Wayne murders 21 years ago. The commissioner then remarks about Bruce and how he always had strange behavior before going missing. He cites the Cord CEO, Ted Cord, who was a friend of Bruce, claiming that he barely ate or drank and had delusions of restoring order in Gotham. Apparently, after Cord told Gordon, the Cord building on Founders Island burnt down with everyone inside. Then we see a picture of Bruce before the murder, and a picture supposedly of him after. The commissioner says that some thinks he's dead. Others think he might be traveling the world and that picture isn't him. But Jim Gordon thinks he may be the Batman. The screen glitches and then we see the creepy Batman addressing the citizens of Gotham that vengeance is coming. His terrifying face and bloodied sharp eyes are so creepy and unnerving. Something makes me think he may have even reused some of his trophies from the Batman incident. But that's purely speculation. I think this considering that the teeth look bloodied and sharp, while the Joker's picture showed the Batman's teeth being long and slightly crooked, but still straight. The description says, recovered live feed from Jim's office as well as the Renee Montoya to Harvey Bullock. The characters of this are Ted Cord, who is the Cord Industries CEO and also one of the Blue Beetles. Renee Montoya and Harvey Bullock are investigators who work in the Gotham City Police Department with Commissioner Jim Gordon. So, it seems that no one is safe from the Batman. The next video is the GCPD Instructional Presentation 1, 1962. The video starts with the GCPD logo, but the video describes what to do if you lose a loved one and says to keep an eye on them, especially if they're young. After that, it says to lock all doors and windows so that they don't go outside. Step 3, don't let them interact with the bat. It'll only hurt you. The screen glitches and we can hear reversed audio at the end. The audio, when reversed, sounds similar to the description. There is no redemption for the wicked. Death is the only way out. But it seems that the GCPD has no current solution to the bat. If their solution is to bubble wrap everyone they can, does this mean that conventional means such as bullets have proven ineffective? The next video is The Truth, 1962. We see scrawled text that says, I'm not supposed to talk about this. I've tried everything I can to get this out without getting caught. The Batman is Wayne, or was. It seems as if the Bruce side of him is gone, only the Bat remains. His body is skinnier, yet he still possesses his strength and agility. He most likely uses some sort of drug. The sightings of him only risen in the past 2 years. Then we see a newspaper clipping that shows this Bat creature of Gotham. The creepy eyes are all that can be made out of the dark from the footage. The last incident was a little boy who was walking home from his friend's house when he saw him in the alley. This is the picture he took. We see a new image with the silhouette of the Batman in the dark alley, barely able to make out from the shadows. The only upside to this is that the crime rates have gone down and Arkham is basically empty now. I have proof that the Batman is Wayne. First of all, ever since the incident of Arkham, Bruce has not been seen. Second is the leaked audio recording, which, yes, is real. Finally is this audio recording. Do not show this to law enforcement so it doesn't find out. For a split second, we can see red text appear. You shouldn't have found this.
My name is Bruce Wayne. My father is Thomas Wayne. My mother is Martha Wayne. They were both murdered when I was a child. I am here to confess. If listening, my plan has worked. People of Gotham will submit.
It's almost chilling hearing this rendition of the phrase, "I am the night, I am vengeance." Yet he never ends the quote making you believe that there'll be a sudden scare. But nothing happens. That man has his plans. He doesn't need to be sudden or quick. He can be as slow as he likes. Who's going to stop him? The sentiment is only echoed in the description. They should let me do my job. I saved them. Now they need to save themselves. The next video is a teaser for a Superman analog horror series. This one simply has the Superman logo with the tagline, "He fell from the stars and became our god." Different from the usual Superman settlement of how he fell from the stars to become a hero. The next video is another teaser for a Flash analog horror concept where we see an 80s style infomercial about the next great hero. Then it cuts to his logo, which eventually has screams as the film reel breaks, and we see, "He's too fast. He's coming." The Flash one seems to be more of a concept that the creator considered, but probably didn't like as much as Superman, since the next video is the Blue Boy Scout turned God 1962 Superman analog horror. The video opens with how in 1938, the world met Superman, the Blue Boy Scout. He was kind, caring, and inspired hope. Then for a frame, we see red text that says, "I'm so sorry about what I'm about to do to your planet." After that, we see the normal text say, "He even helped win World War II, but after 20 plus years of service, he was gone in 1960. This led to people viewing him not as a hero, but a god." A new group named the Sanctum of the Skyward Savior started to preach that he would return and take them to his home. They were hostile towards other religions, going as far as to destroy other religious institutions. In December of 1962, he made his return. Then we see pictures of him proving his return. Everyone thought that the Sanctum would be more public regarding his return, but they were gone, without a trace. Crime is down, but the Superman leaves a mess wherever he goes, and the Sanctum has a new leader. It's rare to see the Superman up close unless he is expressly looking for you. But our narrator was right about something. Superman is here for a greater purpose than heroism. The narrator then tries to show a picture of his face, but the picture is very difficult to make out, whether these are facial features or Superman is no longer human. Then we hear how the entity will burn their head, then display them as a warning. After a period of silence, the song "Starman in the Sky" starts playing. But it's corrupted, and we see pictures and footage of the Superman demolishing buildings as he flies, with red text to fade on, apologizing. Description gives us even more information. The description is an autopsy report that I will briefly summarize. The autopsy is of Lex Luthor, a man about 45 years old who died in 1962 on December 16th. The autopsy is of Lex Luthor, a man about 45 years old who died December 16th, 1962. His body seems relatively fine other than his pupils being irregular and charred. His suit now partially scorched as well. Looking inside, all the tissue and systems inside his head are melted. The cause of death is noted to be laser-induced injuries to the ocular regions and brain, ruled as homicide. Signed by a Dr. Charles McNider, or Dr. Midnight. For the quick note, the Doctor seems to be a reference to Charles McNider, known as a superhero Dr. Midnight, a blind Golden Age superhero, likely the first ever with a physical disability, also known as Starman, apparently. At least Wikipedia says he is. But regarding the video, I think it has incredible usage of its visual elements. Everything is implied, and it makes it that much worse. The ending song of Starman and the apology make it even creepier. Because it makes me wonder, why is Superman apologizing? Why is he apologizing if this is purposeful? Or maybe it wasn't. What if Superman had to leave at first because of something controlling him? A parasite? Maybe a god in itself? We simply don't know yet. The next video is Names, 1962, another Batman-focused video. This video starts with an image of the Wayne Manor burnt down. It then says that the only items left intact were family photos and a clock. A clock that hid a door to a dark cave. We then see the opening with a description that says how it was huge, but the writer claims they're not supposed to show it or tell things they are about to say, because they had to sneak in after the police left. They show a picture of the Bat's costume, continuing with how they found things such as a modified car and files of Gotham's history. Then they claim they found a file with names, one of them being our writers. They then list out the names: Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, redacted Barbara Gordon, Stephanie Brown, Kate Kane, Luke Fox, Helena Bertinelli, John Paul Valley, Harper Rowe, Duke Thomas, and Selena Kyle. The writer wonders why there were so many names and why theirs was on there. But then they found them. The photo shows a group of people. It's difficult to tell their facial details if they have any faces at all, but they must be dangerous if it caused the writer to run as fast as he could. But not before seeing him, the Batman himself. His pointy ears and dark figure distinguish him in the center. But he never chased the writer, just watched as they fled on their bike. They think the police are trying to cover it up, possibly because the chief's daughter is missing. The police stated that Batman is dead, which only led to crime surging again. The creator wants to leave Gotham as soon as possible. He doesn't want to end up like these people. If we never hear from him again, assume he's dead or left the city. Then we see a missing poster. Timothy Drake, last seen 7/4/1962. The Last Robin. The last message warns us not to go into the cave or under the Wayne Manor. And then we see the red text slowly appear underneath. Or I'll do to you what I did to the missing. This episode was bone-chilling. To imagine what happened to the missing. Were they dead? Or worse? Before I give the description, I'll explain the names. The names are all of various characters who have either aided or been sidekick to Batman before. I won't name all of them, but there are the Robins, Batwing, and Batgirl. The descriptions say, don't trust people in masks who say they will do good. This makes me think that the Batman is either crafting them into monsters to aid him, or killing them, and leaving them as statues to memorialize what he hates. An empty promise. The no-kill rule is clearly gone with this Batman, whose new rule is kill anything that's wrong. Because these were his sidekicks, who also wanted to do good. Maybe he's acting as a vengeance against them for some reason. The why is not particularly clear, but we can see the terrible things he is planning. The next video continues these Batman horrors with Prisoner 1962. We have the video introduced through text. The missing Jason Todd, who wants to explain why the Bat does what he does. Todd's father was a crook who left him and his mother, who started getting addicted to drugs. So he had to steal parts of cars to provide food on the table. But his mother died, and he was left alone to steal cars' parts for money. One night, he saw a fancy, weird car. It seemed to be worth a lot, so he tried to scrap parts from it. But then he got knocked out. He doesn't remember much else rather than being bound in the car and then waking up in a cell in a cave with some others. He made friends with Dick Grayson, who was a performer, but he was the first to turn. The Bat modified something called Venom and used it on Dick Grayson. Even though Jason was the fourth to get taken, he got turned last. The one before him was a robber named Catwoman. Then we see a photo of her from one of the early live-action movies. She had to get taken elsewhere, but when one of the prisoners escaped, Jason had to go earlier. And when he got strapped down for the procedure, the Bat started talking about himself, and about a butler named Alfred. But unlike the main series, Alfred died from a heart attack only weeks after the Wayne's funeral. When the Bat asks about Jason's family, he froze after telling him that he was only an orphan as well. And then the Bat asked if he wanted to join him in ridding the city of criminals. But Jason said that the Bat was a lunatic and needed help, in which he responded by releasing fear toxin against Jason. When the restraints got freed, he ran. There was an attempt to stop him, but it failed, and once he was near the exit, the Bat stopped, and Jason could hear rumbling. Then the house exploded, and the police came to question him and asked for a sketch. And he drew this. The description states, "I'm gonna make sure he gets sent to jail." This one is chilling, but also has an interesting twist, considering the mentions of venom and fear toxin. This Batman is dangerous, and doesn't shy from using these chemical weapons. For those unfamiliar, venom is the stuff Bane uses to become stronger and increase his muscle mass, while fear toxin was used by the villain Scarecrow, which induces fear into those that breathe it, and can cause hallucinations. The drawing, or at least the depicted version of him, may have been from a memory with the fear toxin, as this Batman looks different from the previous times we saw him. Still, the horror elements and implications are scary themselves, but very interesting. The next video is Owl Hijack 1963. This one is largely normal, being a VHS recording of an old black and white Coca-Cola commercial with a jingle. Close to the end of the video, we see the owl hijack, a figure in a goggled hood with flashing images of things that look like brain scams in lounge rooms with text for a brief moment that says, "Send the talon for the bat's head." Regarding the reference, I think it's a reference to the Court of Owls, which is a criminal organization in the comics that is against Wayne, and I believe they organize assassinations and things of that sort. So this is an interesting spin that they are focusing on the bat due to his danger to society. Now we have Missing People's Broadcast 1962. We get an emergency siren and then this message.
We interrupt your current broadcast to bring you this message. There has been a significant increase in missing people in the following areas: Old Gotham, Miagani Island, Bleak Island. If you receive this message, you are in one of these areas. Keep all doors and windows locked, and don't let yourself or anyone leave your home by themselves under any circumstance. If you see any of these children or the bat, call the police immediately. The missing individuals will now be shown.
Now we see multiple missing posters and the characters we heard of before, but when it gets to Jason Todd, we see the bat who says how it's too late. Then a picture of the cave claiming their family now. Next, we see the ruinous mansion to end the video. The creepy face of the bat and how it glitches just continues to make this one great, with how it expands on how it's becoming a menace up to all of Gotham. But since we finished the broadcast, time to move on to Crime, 1963. The text says that since the bat died, crime has risen, and now there are more dangerous criminals. Yet one has already claimed 30 victims. The one the bat left behind. The Joker. We see his sick, twisted face as it says how he has killed the most feared gangs and crime families, and even the homeless. Then red text saying how he's always watching. They claim that you can tell when a crime was committed by the Joker no matter what alias he chooses. They will have a smile and then something related to the bat, like a drawing shown here. The bat stalks and torments the Joker, who killed Bruce's parents. But he'll never kill the Joker. And the police won't do anything as many have criminal family ties. There's even a Two-Face reference where the Joker had splashed acid onto the face of the mayor, who went mad being mocked as Two-Face. The creator then says how the owl hijack the news put in doesn't help since it's fake. The owls are just some old urban legend. The place is full of crazies, but at least no more missing kids. Our writer claims people live there since it's so cheap, but he stepped down as police captain after his daughter died and he left the town. He even says that if the viewer is in Gotham, they need to pray since the bat isn't dead. And in red text it says, "Watching you right now, not the bat." Then we hear loud repeated knocks aided with laughter. And we see the creepy and cruel face of this laughing maniac. The clown prince of crime himself. The Joker. So it looks like our favorite green-haired villain has gone insane and started to kill people, possibly just for the fun of it. Possibly to get Bat's attention. We also know that Barbara Gordon must certainly be dead. They must have found her, or what used to be her, if Jim gave up and moved on so suddenly. Also, those twisted pictures of the Joker, amazingly terrifying. But now we have Justice League Cartoon 1963, Superman Analog Horror. This one starts the intro to the cartoon Justice League of America, but Superman's eyes have a black line to censor them. After our narrator introduces the heroes, we glitch to the main part of the episode where a drilled spaceship is barreling towards a planet. I'm not going to show the whole episode because this is great and possibly copyrighted, so I urge you to check it out yourself, because it's actually pretty good. But eventually an alert interrupts the episode. Then we get this message from the president.
Good afternoon, America. This is a message written by President JFK. The masked and powerful individuals whom once sought to protect us have turned on us. Due to the nature of some of these individuals, myself and the rest of the United States government have passed a law once again banning vigilantism in these United States. There are some individuals who may continue their activities. These individuals are members of the Justice Society of America. Merchandising and fictional works of any heroes except for the Superman is still allowed. If found acting against these laws, you will have the choice of being imprisoned or shot on sight. We understand that this might be disheartening, but you can trust your local police and the United States military to protect and serve us. We are the most technologically advanced nation in the world, and let us keep it that way. God bless you all, and God bless America.
After that slightly disappointing JFK speech, we see "The dream is dead" flash on screen. We can also hear a deep voice with the words, "They control us all," having a picture of Superman, then another image that is difficult to make out. After that is the flash, then what looks like Green Lantern. As the video ends, we see when America falls, Earth follows. There's not a huge amount of context needed for this video besides Superman, as the other heroes don't have the largest impact. The grumbling sound I mentioned before, at least according to a comment from the video, seems to be the famous Oppenheimer quote, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds." The description corroborates this by saying, "When falls the Colosseum, Rome shall fall, and when Rome falls, the world." I think the designs we get to see at the end are also really cool looking, but I was a little disappointed there wasn't a comical JFK impersonation. Like, I know this is a serious series, but come on, no, ich bin ein Berlin. Yeah, I'm a history nerd, and no, I won't explain. Norvis Ordo, 1964. The Metahuman Archive starts with an emergency broadcast, this time issued by the UN.
This is a message from the United Nations. Major cities around the world have reported seeing extraterrestrial objects in the sky that emit a green glow. Major cities include Metropolis, Gotham, Coast City, Central City, New York, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, London, Paris, Berlin, Moscow, Tokyo, New Delhi, Sydney, Melbourne, Cape Town, Cairo, Buenos Aires.
Lock all doors and windows and keep a safe distance from any strange green light source. The culprit responsible is Green Lantern 2. Do not draw his attention and arm yourself with whatever you can find. The JSA are currently working to resolve the problems. This message will be replayed in a different...
The broadcast has cut, and there's a binary code that translates to famine, with the word wrath appearing after. Proceeding, there are flashing images and a Green Lantern symbol, then the words, "Do not be afraid. This is the true Green Lantern. We have done everything for you. And this is how you repay us? You tried to stop everything. But your plans failed. Your planet has very little time. The people you called heroes failed." Then the images of Golden Age versions of the Green Lantern and Flash appear with a deep voice saying, "Your heroes are weak and fragile. Your governments are weak and scared. This planet enslaves and discriminates. Now humans will be the ones held captive. We know where you are. We know what you're afraid of." After a VHS glitch, the video ends. However, during that speech, the heroes' faces have changed, growing a grimace not dissimilar to that of the Joker, the man who went insane. The description is in Morse code as well, but doesn't translate too well, as I got Herm's ear wrathful, which I think is supposed to be heroes are or were wrathful. Just want to say, I also love the inclusion of the Flash and Green Lantern's Golden Age versions, those being the very first iterations of the characters when superheroes still looked ridiculous. But next we have Sinners and Butchers 1964 Batman Analog Horror. We start with some text on screen that says, "I don't know who's going to see this. I don't know what to do anymore. There's no escaping, it seems. And if you want to go anywhere else, another freak is going to try to get me. I was thinking of moving back to Switzerland, but then the Order would try to turn me into their Azrael. I still go by the alias Azrael. I just don't follow the Order anymore. Even though most people believe the Bat is back, crime hasn't gone away unlike when he first came. His latest work was of the Pig Butcher." We then see a picture of what looks like a person tied in midair being held at multiple points, with our narrator noting it may be replicating an old Norse ritual. The narrator notes that since they escaped, they haven't seen the Bat. Only the missing. But shows us a photo that someone had taken of the Bat. He's also impossible to make out through the picture, though. Then we see two victims of a murder by a famous criminal killed by a cane, Duke Thomas and Helena Bertinelli, of which the Bertinelli family has been hunting for her killer since. One narrator says that they want to hide it because they're being stalked, but not by the Bat. He's being stalked by Dick Grayson, the Robin. We see the photo and hear them say how he had killed the Mad Hatter and Victor Staz, two villains, one being a brutal and dangerous killer, and the other being a loon into hats. But going back on track, Azrael claims that Dick broke into his house and attacked him, then shows a picture of what happened to him after. Since then, they took the name Azrael officially, and the cops have not caught him since he killed the pyromaniac Firefly and Killer Moth. Then we see Latin at our end, after the picture of a man on horseback. Nullius imperium facio nisi de mamona cadet. Jum ceteris peccatoribus. Let's hope I pronounced at least some of that right, with the minimal Latin I do know. But according to the comments, the translation is, I do not rule anyone by God. Mammon will fall with other sinners. The description is Deus super omnia, God over all. There's quite a few references in this one. Azrael is a Christian assassin who takes up a vigilante role. He has aided Batman before and works under the order of Saint Dumas. Personally, Saint Dumas sounds funnier, but it's a secret organization specializing in creating assassins like him. Also, the religious definition for Azrael is the angel that severs the soul from the body at death, according to Google. However, it says that is the Jewish and Islamic interpretation, so this being a Christian vigilante is slightly odd to me, but let's go with it. I think this is an incredible concept to focus on, as what we can align as a hero/protagonist through this series. And let's hope he can stop the Bat. A lot of other names mentioned were also other heroes who helped Batman before, and then there were the villains like the Mad Hatter, Killer Moth, or Firefly, as well as the serial killer named Zsasz, who apparently would stab himself for each time he gained a kill, and judging by art of his torso, he has experience in that business. Small side tangent, I couldn't take the Latin for this video or the Green Lantern one seriously at all, because I keep thinking about this one political cartoon rap of Reagan versus Trump, where some of the first lyrics are Latin saying Norvis Ordo Reaganomics Seclorum. So it gives me a little chuckle remembering that. It's pretty funny if you're curious. I might try and do a political breakdown of this video someday. I don't know, might be funny. But the next video is Aquaman Prevention 1964, the Metahuman Archives. The video starts as a PSA where we can see this is tape 10. The video starts to explain that Aquaman is dangerous, and you need to know the signs when he's approaching. How there's 2 red flags with symbols meaning that he will be coming up to the beach shortly. Eventually we see a boat and the narrator says, remove yourself from the water where he is strongest, and we can see frames of a giant leviathan-like sea monster with horrifying teeth and eyes and tentacles. But then Aquaman gets on the boat and we see binary that translates to, goodbye, Jimmy. The video continues talking about how you should avoid close encounters with the Aquaman and how close exposure may result in ciguatera poisoning, aka a food fishborne illness. The video says to stay away and neutralize them by any means, then a binary code on saying, I will deceive them all. After that we see a message. You laughed and made fun of what I can do. Once I show you what I did to the writer, there will be no more laughter. Then we get this clip. We can see the word deceived pop up with his logo, as well as some red text that appeared in a glitch near the end, but it's too difficult to see what it says. At the very end, after the signals get hijacked again, we see a lot more of Morse code strings that translate to, there's no heroes left. Now that we aren't serving you, you're locking us. You've destroyed my home. You've destroyed the oceans. Humanity's sins will not go unpunished. We see a flashing Aquaman logo with the words, there is no salvation, and a frame of a person's outline. The description says that humanity is unworthy. Regarding the name Jimmy, I personally could not find anything relating to Aquaman, however, I could be missing information. I honestly wish there could have been more about that Leviathan-like creature. That 3D segment looked really cool, if a bit lacking horror-wise. I wanted to see a bit more. But now I have to address the elephant in the room. The next video is not a DC analog horror video. It's a Marvel analog horror video, specifically on the origins of Peter Parker, as the name implies. The video starts with text saying how they found a tape labeled Spider-Man in their attic, and they used to love it as a kid, and their grandfather owned a bunch of Spider-Man related stuff. But there are some weirder things, like a picture of a Spider-Man costumed actor posing with who we can assume is a young version of our narrator or their grandfather. There was also spider engravings in the comic, and a tape labeled Controlled Origin. Then we get to see the footage as it starts like a Spider-Man cartoon. But the audio is weirdly disturbing and uncomfortable to listen to. Briefly, as the Spider-Man swings, we can see the words, "Look in your walls," before it cuts away. Eventually, after the rest of the video, we get a little title card denoting this is Spider-Man's origin episode. After a pan over the city and suburbs, we close in on a campus. We see 2 male students trying to get the attention of some girls, but they won't join the guys unless they can get a third, of which we see a man walking with a black bar across his face. One of the boys then waves, saying, "Hey Parker," and the video cuts. When we're back, we see the boys talking to Peter, but when it's Peter who speaks, his voice is augmented to be very deep, as he gives his excuse of why he's not able to go. He needs to do a demonstration with the professor of radioactivity. During the experiment, we see a spider and a deep voice coaxing the spider to bite Peter. After it does, we see the screen and audio glitch a lot with a brief moment of the words, "Are you tense yet?" Then we see a real-life scene. This could be a roof or something, but it's clearly inside with the words, "I see you're frightened. You look quite tense as well. Are you scared of me?" He is not in control anymore. Neither will anyone else. The video ends with the original narrator saying that that's it. But it's all just a comic book character. Right? Moving on from that, now we have the one above and below. It starts with a Fantastic Four cartoon made by Hanna-Barbera Studios, the famous studio behind series like Scooby-Doo, The Flintstones, The Jetsons, and many more. The episode is from The Terrible Tribunal. The episode seems to go as normal until there is a glitch when the characters are shot with beams. The episode continues until Reed Richards, the member of the Fantastic Four being interrogated, gets his memory analyzed. Morse code appears saying everything you know is a lie, and then his eyes glow white. Then we see the weird face that looks like a ghoul from Fallout that says that they've been lied to. Everything is false. Our prophets have deceived us. There is only one, and to not fear because it will not be long till. Then there's something hard to discern. Next he says how he is given the power to destroy something, either a jail or possibly something else. Then the face disappears and the cartoon eventually comes back showing the ending. Once the credits finish, the screen glitches and we see the face. Then, eventually we see what looks like a bright light over a planet, and the phrase, "Humanity must destroy themselves." The description claims that the tape was mailed to them. If for some reason you're not familiar with the Fantastic Four, they're a superhero team of 4 mutants who got superpowers. One pretty much became a plastic man, another is the Human Torch, the Thing, being this thing, and an invisible woman. I really like this blend of the old cartoons with the horror element. That face was pretty mysterious and a little hard to understand, but a very intriguing piece. But that's it from this series for now. I loved Siltrix, or Oblivion's work as they're now called, and I think this series has so much interesting potential. There was a lot of horror elements I really liked about it, and I think that there's a lot that can be done with this series. I really recommend you checking it out, as there's some details I may have purposefully left out. But really, if you are at all interested in creepy videos like these, check out Oblivion's channel. It'll be the first link in the description. But yeah, that's it for today. As always, comments, criticism, and suggestions are always welcome. Happy Spooktober. It's been me, Mush. I'll see you later. Arrivederci.